when you're home in Arkansas, um, what is the mood of the MAGA voter right now? In the and what do you want to say to this New York and California heavy audience about the delta between the caricature of the
Sure.
Arkansas MAGA voter and the reality of the people you live with who voted for Trump?
I think that there is a misunderstanding about the you'll have a lot of people that when you talk about farms and the things that are happening to farms, and a lot of them do vote Republican. I mean, that's just part of it. That will say they deserve it. They voted for this shit, whatever. And okay, the other side of it is most of it is a generation that came from being able to trust the news explicitly. And farmers work 14 to 18 hours a day during harvest and planting season. It's not you're not getting a lot of news. You're going to catch news at the end of the day if you're lucky at between uh, commodities reports. You're not going to digest it the way you and I would digest it, or the way someone else would digest it that gets to spend a lot of time in front of a computer or anything like that. And so the culture issues are what really sway them. And it is when you talk about the rural South, a lot of it is religious, and with a weaponized faith like we currently have with this evangelical kind of Christian nationalism, it's easy to turn that voter's opinion just based on a cultural issue. Now, that that being said, most of them are not very happy with the idea of military in the streets. They don't like the ICE people snatching people off the streets, and that's just what you hear at the golf course and at the diners and things. There is a little bit of a shift in everybody just being on board with everything because you can't disguise prices that are going up. You can say things are down 25%, but we're the ones buying the shit. And so we know whether or not it's going down, and that's just not the case. You can try to pretend that leftists are all violent, radical people, but we all go to the store together and we go to church and we go to the golf. You can't sell that very long. Um, so I think there is a misunderstanding of people in rural America from people in New York or in California. One, there's more progressive people than you might think, but also a lot of the. I'll use my dad as an example. My dad is what I would call a traditional conservative. He's not a Trump guy. Doesn't like Trump at all. And the other day he claimed to be an independent that leans conservative. So there's a lot of that happening where you're having older people that just they don't want this. They don't want that. Whatever Trump is doing, they don't want it. And so I think you are seeing a little bit of a shift to the left that is going to maybe surprise some of that heartland vote that may shift a little further left than people expect.
I used to love the Gong Show, and I think that we should incorporate the Gong Show into the presidential debates, and hey, you can gong
Yeah.
someone out. But I'm trying to think of a town hall in Arkansas where a bunch of Democratic presidential aspirants come out to visit with them and talk. And so for sure, right, I know Bashir's not going to get gonged.
Right.
Um, I think if Jeffries or Schumer were up on the stage, I think they get gonged within 2 minutes. I think
That would be a long time for
I
them to be
think
done.
I think I think Gavin does not get gonged. I think he's a really good politician who genuinely likes people,
Hmm.
and so I think that he'll get a listen. Who can go out there from the party you think, and we talked about who those people are, but who can reach your dad, right? And keep your dad in the Democratic line in 2028. What does he
That
need to hear, right? Not he started that journey, right? And for
mhm.
those of you who don't have a lot of Republicans in your family, right? This is a key moment that we're talking about here. Not a Republican anymore. I'm an independent, at least conservative. Right? You don't want to jump on it, right? You want to
Sure.
listen, right, and let that. But what does he need to hear that's different about the Democratic Party that lets him back in? Did he vote for Clinton?
No,
Okay.
no. Um, Dad has been. Uh, I'm going to give you a bunch of backstory you didn't ask for, but I think that'll get us where we want to be. Dad grew up. My granddaddy was a sharecropper, and granddaddy died when Daddy was 14 or 15, and then my dad and my grandmother had to move to the projects, and he spent the rest of his high school and first part of his post high school life there. Uh, and then he kind of made himself, and he's done very well. I mean, he just worked and I don't know. He respects what social programs do. He does. But he also knows that there's certain amount, or he believes that there's a certain amount of things that a man's responsible for on his own. And that's just that Southern work ethic thing that we treat work like a virtue instead of like a we don't look at it correctly for sure. So I think for someone like my father, for a Democrat to hold his attention and to get him across the finish line, it has to be someone who is not going to constantly. It can't be the culture war stuff. It has to be the economics of what we're moving toward and what we're doing, and someone that can talk plainly. I think that political non-speak that happens, that circular conversations that are always being had, where nobody really answers any questions. I think that is becoming very tiresome for that generation. And I mean, for I mean, all of us hate it, but I think that people that can speak very clearly about what they're going to do and have a plan and say, this is the path forward. And we're going to have to tax the top 10% at this rate. And this is why. And this is why that's okay. And for, for someone to come out and say, not every policy is going to affect you positively. Sometimes it's going to benefit this other group a little bit more than it's going to benefit you. But then this other thing that we're going to do is going to kind of hope to balance that out. I think the ability to come in and talk plainly about what is happening is going to be the win for whoever takes the mantle next, whoever moves forward. And I think it's going to behoove Democrats or whoever's in that spot to speak to people about things that actually matter and to present plans and to say the hard things that in the West Wing, the show, Aaron Sorkin's show, Jed Bartlett's given a speech in Vermont, I think, and he's talking to a dairy farmer, and he says, "Yep, I really screwed you on that milk thing, but I thought it was more important that kids had availability to milk than you make a couple extra dollars a gallon." And I liked that because I thought that was a hard conversation, and he just explained himself. I think we need more of that, even though that's fiction. But I think that the next Democratic candidate, if he wants to hold the attention of conservative voters, traditionally conservative voters, or independents that lean conservative, that's what they have to be.